Good morning, everyone. I want to thank everyone for being here this morning, including Tanja Miles with Set Free Indeed Ministries, John Daly with the District Attorney's Office, our East Baton Rouge Parish Coroner, Dr. Bo Clark, Charlotte Claiborne with the Bridge Center for Hope, Chief T.J. Morris with the Baton Rouge Police Department, Dr. Jan Lappinghouse with Capital Area Human Services, our addiction recovery advocates, including Janice and Billy Petro, and other family members. Today we are here to talk about our progress in the fight against overdoses in East Baton Rouge Parish. We have now seen a 2-year decline in both fatal and non-fatal overdoses. While this reduction is indeed important, the numbers are still far too high. According to data from our coroner's website, there has been a sharp increase in overdoses over the past decade, with the number of fatal overdoses exceeding the number of homicides for several years now. Unfortunately, it's the same situation throughout our country. But as leaders of this community, we knew we had to act in order to save lives. 3 years ago, we came together to support Tanja Miles with the launch of When You Are Ready. Using this campaign and her military background and data from the District Attorney's Office, her team proactively visits locations where overdoses are happening. To date, they have touched over 350 locations, distributed 1,500 Narcan kits and fentanyl testing strips, and provided 300 mental health and addiction toolkits for faith-based organizations. More recently, Tanja and her team have collaborated with the Baton Rouge Police Department to launch the Peers on Point initiative, which responds to overdose incidents in real time to provide immediate recovery support along with resources for family members. We support these initiatives because we know they can make a difference. And in the past 2 years, we have seen a 17% decrease in non-fatal overdoses, along with a decrease in fatal overdoses. We still have a long way to go, but we are making progress by supporting initiatives like this. As I've said, it's my responsibility to look out for all of the citizens of East Baton Rouge Parish, and we are exercising our democratic right to have this case heard in our judicial system. I would now like to turn it over to Tanja Miles to tell you more about her work, along with John Daly from the District Attorney's Office, our East Baton Rouge Parish Coroner, Dr. Bo Clark, and our Baton Rouge Police Chief, Thomas Morris. Tanja?
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor Broome. Thank you for your leadership, and to the other folks who are behind me. Capital Area Human Services District, the Office of Behavioral Health, the Bridge Center for Hope, so many people who stand behind me, the DA's office, and Dr. Bo Clark, who've been in this fight for many, many years. I remember when, many years ago, we had a conversation about drug overdose, particularly the opioid epidemic, and we assembled together many people who are standing behind me in this room. I'm talking about 15 years ago. And so we know that addiction kills, steals, and destroys, but we know that there's hope. We know that people need to know that they have a right to heal. And so when we started Set Free Indeed program, that was our goal, to let people know that there's hope, that there's help, and provide them with resource and treatment where they can get them on their road to recovery, from maybe one of their worst days to their best days. And so I'm excited that when we assembled 3 years ago to start the When You're Ready campaign, all of us came together. You have businesses like H&E, so many different people that this affects, because addiction does not discriminate. It's from the curbside to the country club. If you're broke or having billions, it does not matter. People need to know that there's hope, and that's what we do. We push hope every day. When you're ready, we're out there on the street, we're canvassing areas where we get that data from the DA's office, real-time strategy unit, and we go out as a military force, and we're very intentional about hitting those places where people are overdosing the most. We take treatment information. We take Narcan, fentanyl testing strips. But what we really take is lived experience. People like me who've been in recovery, people who stand behind me whose loved ones have been having challenges to addiction, and some of them who've lost loved ones to drug overdose. Even though those numbers have went down, but we are not satisfied. We will address it, we will eradicate stigma, because one thing I hope that never happens to anyone is that they become part of a club where they lost a loved one to addiction. It does not discriminate, and it affects us all. And so we wanted to continue that mission, and that's when we started Peers on Point. When we met with the Baton Rouge Chief of Police, and we said, what about if we do this? And now we're doing that. We have peers on the street who are activated every time there's a non-fatal and a fatal. We're there to push hope, resources, and to let them know that healing is their birthright and recovery is real. And I would just like to thank you, Mayor Broome. I'd like to thank the other people who are behind me. Behind me, you probably have over 200 years of people who have been in recovery. And we use our lived experience and our voice to let them know that there's hope and there's resources. And I would just like to thank each and every one of you, some who are not in this room, who fight this fight every day that we will win.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here to represent our DA, who is fully committed to this public health and safety team. Thank you, Mayor Broome, for hosting this. Thank you, Tom, for bringing this together. I have just made 15 years in recovery, so I have a little lived experience, and it's an opportunity and a responsibility for me to be involved in this. When we got a grant in 2018 to address the opioid crisis by augmenting criminal justice system's role, we set out to build it the only way we knew how, and that was a public safety initiative. And so we started collecting data through our crime strategies unit, who we have with us our Sergeant Armstrong through the Louisiana National Guard. She really spearheads a lot of these data-driven efforts behind the scenes through her experience, her capabilities. And so we started building this public safety project out. And what we realized quickly was that this data is invaluable and it can have a greater impact if it got to all the stakeholders. So we decided that we wanted to partner and build out what we, at the time, envisioned to be a public health and safety team. And so we crossed paths with Tanya Miles and realized quickly we were speaking the same language. So it was something that I am grateful to be here today, because knowing what I know as a person with lived experience, I know that this stuff is really a heart issue. It's a brain disease, as my friend Dr. Lathinghouse explains. But we gotta be data-driven in order for us to leverage all of our resources most effectively. And so here I get to report a bit on how our efforts have been going the last year. And I'm happy to tell you, we're trending in the right direction on overdoses. Nationally, I think we're around 2 to 3% based on the most recent preliminary numbers. In Louisiana, we're seeing a pretty significant decrease statewide, about 5 to 7%. And in East Baton Rouge, almost 1% projected. These are, of course, based on pending toxicology results from the coroner's office. However, the fact that we're moving in the right direction is particularly exciting. East Baton Rouge has been disproportionately affected by fentanyl since it hit the streets. In 2016, fentanyl usurped heroin as the deadliest drug in America, and in 2019, it became the deadliest drug in East Baton Rouge. And since then, it has driven our overdose rate, and I can send this, disproportionately higher than the state and the national averages. However, since our efforts and our partnerships and with the community, with things like When You're Ready, for example, we got to partner with Tanja Miles and we launched When You're Ready, and the first outreach was August 21. Since then, we've seen month over month a consistent decrease in our fatal overdoses. Prior to that, I think we were increasing at an average of around 8 to 9% per year. And so now we're seeing a consistent decrease of almost 0.5% per month, And so that gives us hope. We know that there are other players and other stakeholders that aren't here and don't get to stand at this podium and talk about it, but it's a contributing factor to these numbers. And we want to thank you for that. We want to partner with you, continue to build out a community-wide initiative that really not only heals, but eliminates those things that are coming again, or have an opportunity to be here, and I'm going to turn it over.
Got a call, so I can stand in the back. Thank you, Mayor Broome, for having me. Appreciate it. It's nice to be with you guys this morning. I want to make my statements really brief. The biggest public health threat in this country, the biggest public health threat in the state, the biggest public health threat in this community is the opioid epidemic, the opioid crisis. We are still seeing numbers of around 300 for the last 3 or 4 years of individuals, people in our community, family and friends that died as a result of overdoses. And that number and this crisis, I think, oftentimes feels very overwhelming to people. The solutions seem complicated, but you have a group of people standing behind me that are very dedicated to those solutions. And we've really broken it down into 2 areas. One is managing the bad guys, managing the drug dealers, the people that are killing these individuals by selling them these drugs. And that's where you see law enforcement and the district attorney's office, as well as my office, being involved. But also managing and taking care of those individuals, the good people in our community that are suffering from this substance abuse disorder, and getting them the help they need, and working with them to improve their lives and prevent their deaths. So we are going to continue this work until there's no deaths in our community related to this crisis. But the work is not over, and that's why you see such a large group of individuals in front of you that are committed to doing that work. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
So good morning. I want to thank everybody for being here, Ms. Miles, Mayor Broome, for letting me come. I want to say, as the new Chief Police of Baton Rouge Police Department, I am 100% committed to continuing this work with Peers on Point and Ms. Miles' program. 1,000%. We've seen great successes where our dispatch center actually is able to reach out to Peers on Point and Ms. Miles' group, and they have people respond to on scene with resources that us as the Baton Rouge Police Department that we might not have access to. They can come to it from a different place, from No Stigma, No Judgment, as you see on their shirts, that they might not want to talk to a law enforcement officer about. So we really appreciate that partnership, and as new Chief Baton Rouge Police Department, I 100% want to say that we're going to continue with that. We also continue to have multiple officers assigned to the DEA task force. Those officers are doing investigative work, starting from moving backwards, going after those drug dealers, those that are putting the poison and fentanyl out in our community to cause these overdoses. We're also going to continue to partner with organizations like Louisiana Department of Hospital, who just used our property over the weekend, was able to give out around 800 Narcan kits, and it's all along with fentanyl testing strips. That's very important work that we're going to continue to do. We're also going to make sure that our officers are continually trained on CPR, on the use of Narcan, that every officer in the department is going to carry Narcan on them in their units, so in case they come in contact with these individuals, to be able to treat, especially when we're looking at fentanyl. Narcan is the best way to do that. And so we're going to keep up with those as well. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank all of you all for the work that you are doing in your spaces, and as you can see, there is a genuine collaboration here to address the opioid crisis in our city and in our community. We'll take any questions that you might have now. Okay. Well, these individuals will be here to answer any questions that you have, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.